Welcome back, everyone, to session 4 of Crown of Autumn. At the tail end of last session's horrific and nightmarish tragedy, um, a few hours have passed, and the morning star is rising above the rim of the world and is beginning to bathe the outer world in its golden morning light. There, we see in the ancient Fae looms home, um, kind of secluded outside the village Bryn's walls, his palisade there, um, tucked away in a small grove behind the home, near to a shed and beyond the workshop that the old carpenter uses for his trade. We see a bloody scene of grotesque tragedy as our late companion Shihan was slain in despicable possession by the foul Endukaga, the sorcerer that our companions are meaning to hunt. Now, in these moments of rising light in the sky, the pink horizon, we see a group in mourning: Ukian, Samanak, Huraka, and the aged Loom. Huraka, would you describe your character and describe for us? Actually, both of you can actually probably jointly describe what funerary rites have been uh, conducted over the past couple hours in the growing light there. Take it away, my brother.
Well, Haraka is you, not me.
I'm talking to Ukion. Sorry, I
Okay.
apologize. Haraka is there with downcast eyes. So Ukion, take it away. My apologies, everybody.
All right. Um, yeah, jump in, Mike, Summonak. As as the dawn creeps over the horizon and the sky is painted pink and twilight, as the morning birds chirp, as the wind rustles and the ever red leaves of this endless autumn continue to fall and rustle in its unnatural state of stagnation. In the outside the shed, in this almost like a grove where the house of the great craftsmaster Loom, his abode, dwells, a short distance away from the place, that campfire that was shared among friends and companions, compatriots on this mission, where just hours ago songs were traded, stories regaled, plans were set in motion, and then tragedy, sorcery. We see Ukian. He's kneeling. He's in a tunic and pants of gray, undergarments almost. Gray. His characteristic crimson orange emblazoned and engraved brilliant armor depicting the coat of autumn and the court and the crown of autumn is been laid in a neat fashion far off by the shed, along with the weapon, his pole arm. It has been cleaned, but it has been wrapped in the black fabric cloth of an unseelie fey garment, or the remains of a cloak. the last piece he had left, the other piece he gave to Adenost. He's now no longer wearing any of such armor or such things, just in a simple tunic of cloth. His hair is wet and matted back, pulled back into a tight ponytail. His eyes are sunken from the tears, the screaming, the anguish. But there is a stoic tranquility to his face, a somber cloud behind his golden eyes, usually vibrant and burning with determination and purpose, drive. Now they are blemished, and they space out as his hands work the monotonous task of cleaning the body of Arwan, also known by some as Shihan, the Red Blade. He lies there, his wounds open, but now have been not quite stitched, but cleaned and wrapped in bandages provided by Loom as the body is being prepared slowly. There's a bucket of water. It is red. Ukin's hands go inside the bucket to wash his hands of the blood that is part of this work. As he then grabs a hold of that sponge, he squeezes it. We hear the trickling of the water in the bucket. And then he takes it to the body of Shihan and continues to scrub or continues to wash slowly as the dawn light shines. Take it away, someone.
Ukian is taking care of the body. Samanak would bring it upon himself to take charge of the burial. At the moment, his Feyarn armaments and equipment is off, still in the shed from when they were sleeping. The only weapon he has near him is that sledge that he had borrowed of Loom's to shatter that foul gem that they had been carrying around. His face, light and, almost like the sun itself kissing it, would now be stained with black, as he has actually been crying probably for the past hour or so, as everything starts to kind of set into his brain. His hair is matted with dirt. His hands were up at the fingers, and the fingertips, they are black. Everything else is brown and green from the grass, the leaves, the dirt. As he is now set upon the task of, after getting Loom's blessing, as he assumes they are not transporting the body, he would have taken upon himself to begin digging a grave fit for his friend, taking great care in making sure the proportions are correct, the depth is correct, asking for blessings from the silent monolith every moment of the way, even though he himself is currently out of spell points due to an earlier ritual. He still calls upon his deity as he's doing this, hoping it will give him something to ask for, since it's still a noble request. He sees and he hears Ukian working with Shion's body, but he's not reacting to that at the moment. He is once again focused on a task, and he is going to do this task for his friend. Every now and then, anyone will probably Loom, if he looks over, Ukian, if they look over, will see spots of black in the dirt and grass as the tears just continue to fall. and those inky black tears just do not stop coming. It is not until he is actually done making the grave, and if Loom has anything close by, which he assumes he will, actually carving out a
Loom
headstone of
is
sorts.
Loom is down in the pit with you, digging.
Okay.
He obviously he's let you a shovel. He's down in there in the hole with you.
Yeah.
It's very much a bury him where he fell. Because now the village is well abreast of the situation because of the banshee screaming. Um, because Shihan is corrupt. Uh, Loom is we now know Loom has to move because his home is now a site of foul corruption here. So Loom is very quiet as he's doing this. It's more a duty to his kin, but there's obviously some stoic sadness there as he's doing this with you. He's kind of looking around as at the beautiful carpentry surrounding him, and he just kind of mutters, "Well, the lad will have a beautiful mausoleum." And his voice kind of trails off and goes back to digging.
As he says that, my hand once again takes the sponge and squeezes the sponge back into the bucket of water, this blackish, slightly inky, bloody, filled red liquid in this bucket. And my hands, Ukyun's hands, squeeze white knuckles tightly as he hears those words from Loom. He kind of pauses for a moment, staring into the bucket, seeing his red reflection as he calms himself. He does not say his mind. He does not speak his mind. He then takes the sponge back and continues with his work. The rest of the items, and the clothing, the garments, the personal possessions, the accoutrements, the talismans, pouches, and scrolls, and other material, a pipe, as well as other things of sentimental value to Shihan, strange oddities from his travels across the land and his dealings with Nemersians and other strange folk, trophies taken from Atlanteans in the great battles that he spoke of. These things are carefully arranged on a sheet and cleaned and being polished, ready to be, well, interned along with the mighty Arwan, also known as Shihan, the Red Blade. And then that red thing catches my eyes, Uken's eyes, as he glances at that red skin that Shihan, or that Arwan had worn and coveted so dearly, something he kept close to his breast, hidden from others' sight, especially the sight of Somanat. And looking at this grotesque trophy, this skin taken from a primordial. Perhaps it's a sorcerer's skin. Of all the possessions that Shihan had upon him, this is the most unsettling and Every single fiber of my being wants to burn this thing, wants to remove it from existence. But there's something about it, something that feels too painful, the idea to destroy it. And I think to myself, I must take this. Arwan, I will inherit this. I'm sorry, my friend, but I must take this. And so I gingerly, slowly remove it from the pile of his possessions, and I wrap the thing in an old garment I have, and I set it aside.
As you make your motion to remove the scarf from Shihan's dead neck, Oron's wife, the Banshee, still kind of like hovering there nearby, or like crouching
Right.
there grotesquely.
So
Almost like,
she's been around, right?
oh
She's
yeah,
been
no,
visible to me?
she's
Okay.
very reluctantly did she let you attempt to clean the body.
Okay. Yeah.
And she you make the attempt to take the scarf, and she actually shrieks at you. And she actually lashes out at you. She's actually gonna actually
Sure.
attack you. Good god damn, with a 15 on the die, she's gonna come at you with those
Alright.
claws. Those
All
claws
right.
of hers.
I'm gonna roll 1d8 because I'm not in a situation where I'm going to be able to
Okay.
really defend myself. So instead of rolling 2d8, I roll 1d8.
Okay. The dice still
that, and
explodes. Well done. Do it.
Here we go. 5. There's gonna be 5 on the dice plus my defense, just to calculate damage or whatever. Let's see. Defense roll. Yes. There's going to be a total of 11.
Oh yeah, no. So she's actually gonna connect here.
Absolutely.
And oh my goodness gracious, you're actually gonna take 6 points of vitality damage. She
Sure.
comes
What
at you
kind
with those
of
claws.
Yeah. So is like physical? Is it like life force? What kind of damage type is it?
It is physical. She is not
Okay.
trying to sap you of anything right now, but she just slashed you open across your face real good as
Yeah.
she hisses.
Yeah, and so I yell back, sort of. I'm on my knees, so I just kind of look up and I see a swipe, this thing that has been following and shadowing. I raise my arms to defend myself for a second, and then but the swipe connects, and I got thrown back, clutching my face, rolling away. There's the scarf, the thing kind of falls limply by Shihan's side, and I rush back, and I yell out at that, clutching my face and my neck, as blood begins to trickle from that between my fingers as I clutch that. However, I do not get up. I lie there for a moment. These gray garments now soiled by the morning dew, and the grass and the little bit of dirt just outside in this countryside. As I lay there for a second, that's going to be my turn in case she continues to attack for the next. So I miss my next round.
Yeah, she's not going to keep up the attack. She's now like clutching what's left of Shihan to her breast, and she begins weeping. She's very much trying to like squish him into her, and Um, he's not letting this corpse go.
I
Really, really
eventually,
attached.
I eventually slowly stand, um, clutching my face, looking at the two. But that'll be a second. So I'll give maybe Solmanak and Loom a moment to react, in case they do something or.
Loom will just kind of look on, almost like a disappointed grandfather would, and he says, "Are you going to take him to take his corpse to the fairy realm, or are you going to leave it here in this hole for us?" Very tired old granddad tone, and he just kind of looks over at Salmonak. He looks over at this just wretched banshee, and she just scowls at the two of you.
As Loom says this, Salmonak's actually going to kind of look up and shake his head like in out of a Revere. Go see her clutching Shion to her, and like that exasperated, the fuse has almost run out type of attitude. It's, I swear, if I go through all this work and you're going to take him, you need to tell me now. Because I'm out of patience.
What does she do? Of course you will. So she just looks on at the four of you, with this dead look, and she just leans her head back and to the sky. She just lets out this ear-piercing wail, this mournful, terrible wail, as she and Shihan himself, they both like disintegrate into like this pool of muddy water. Like Shihan, Kit, and all, and just,
No, I make a motion as if I want to stop them, but of course it's too late. I begin to run towards the two before they disappear.
You go ahead and reach out, but you like
reach out,
grasp
yeah.
like the stream of water being poured on the ground. Like you'll
Yeah.
get the water on your hand, but it's through the fingers. But
Yeah. And just a quick question as well. So what happened to his possessions? There's also like his personal effects. Are they still there, or is it
all of him is gone into that pool of muddy water now?
everything else? The scarf, his weapons, his everything else.
Everything.
Did you have anything in hand, Ukion? Did you have anything in hand?
Yeah, you see, it's I don't quite respond in this exact moment. As I rush over, it doesn't seem like I had anything. I had something earlier, and then you heard me yell and almost scream, and then you see me clutching my face, and maybe from the angle you can kind of see that there's blood trickling down my torso now, staining the gray tunic. I seem to be clutching that, but then I rush forward, just before the or just as the body is disappearing, and the creepy, unnatural wail of this dead thing takes Shihan away, takes Aran away. I rush forward, slide into the earth, trying to catch something, trying to stop. We're not finished. I mumble under my breath, as now just my hands are in the dirt, just in where Arwan had just laid just seconds ago, and now all I can see is the red drips, the red drops of my own blood coming from my face and my neck, dripping down in the place where Shihan just lay. I just kind of kneel there for just staring into the earth almost for a good minute at least, unless somebody does something else. But I just kind of I don't answer your questions, Almanac. But you can see that I don't have anything in my hands at the moment.
As she wails, Salmonak will actually legitly roll his eyes. Like, oh God, the fucking dramatics. Really? And as she leaves, he's just going to look at Loom. He's going to put the shovel into the dirt. He's going to climb out of the hole. Get one of those really big sighs, like exasperated sighs. And then around that time, he's probably going to notice Ukion's been injured and blood dripping, and he's gonna he's gonna just he's gonna drop the shovel and he's gonna walk toward Ukion, pulling one of his things of bandages from his pouch that he had left. And
yeah, if you have like, you know, if you can tell how injured somebody is, oh, he's not looking good. He's not looking really good at all. He's
Do you want me to make an apothecary check?
No, I won't. I'll
Okay.
just be part of the scene
But-
here.
I will say, when Salmonak goes to look you over, Ukion, he doesn't have any bedside manner right now.
Mhm.
So it's literally going to be like, hold you by the chin, move your face,
yeah,
clean you up, put bandages on it, look you over, and as soon as like he is done diagnosing and getting you patched up, that's what it is.
it's
there
stiff.
is
At first it's very stiff. Yeah. And at first it's very stiff. Like, it's very difficult for me to move me from my position, as I seem to be kind of like stuck in some sort of state, like some post-traumatic stress. But then you know, as you then get me moving, I eventually my eyes sort of like recognize you for a second, and I see you, and I don't impede you, but I don't help in your task either. I seem really dazed. But that moment will pass, and as you're sort of working and tending to me, I will say to you, as Awan is gone. She took him away. It was not time. It was not time.
it's never the right time, but it's also the cycle.
This is wrong. The cycle is stagnant. It's all around us, my friend. It's all around us in this red and brown, this auburn, the shades of endless autumn that we are trapped in. And now Shihan is trapped in death because of me, because of Endu. And I stop. That thing. And I clutch my hands and sort of grasp the grass. That thing, that scarf that Shihan wore. That was, I don't know. It was part of him, maybe. Could have helped. We could.
It was the gem.
The gem. And I kind of look at you like I'm surprised. Oh, yes, I remember. Like, the gem. Where is it?
It's dust.
Dust? What do you mean dust?
And when you ask that, Salmonak will actually turn and point to the sledge, where you can actually probably still see the little slivers of crystal sticking out of the head.
No, don't tell me no. And I stand up and I kind of like interrupt your work as I kind of like, you know, move, kind of stagger towards that scene. Though I stop a few meters away or like 6 feet away. As I then see the destroyed crystal and the mallet, and I just stand there for a long moment, gazing at that. You destroyed it.
Would you prefer he got to us again?
I looked to say I looked as if I was angry, as if I was about to like dive into a diatribe or a verbal attack, and then you say that, and I stop. You kind of catch me. I get caught. The words get stuck in my mouth as I then turn back and look at that, and I whisper under my breath, "No."
You actually buried the stone, or what's left of it, right?
I turned that thing into dust.
Yeah, but I thought you also buried it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I
Okay.
turned it to dust, and then I dug a hole out with the trowel and put it in there. I was saying he could probably still see the slivers on the hammer itself. Like we get those,
Yeah,
those little like
some-
slivers and dust particles when you smash something glass-like.
And then there's like the upturned earth and the I'm sure the nearby mallet is probably still there or something.
Yeah, the sledge is right there.
Yeah,
The sledge is there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just stay there for a moment, and then I look as if I get a little bit dizzy, as I kind of stagger and almost fall over. But then I move and return back to the three of us, the companions, Haruka, Loom, and Solmanak, and I kindly accept his kind gesture of aiding me there. I see him really quiet, really quiet, as the morning continues to occur.
Loom at this point, taking advantage of a lull in the conversation, says, I don't believe that I should stay here anymore. I believe that this place is tainted by the events that happened here. So I believe I will go stay with my sister in Tenowith. She is still there. And he says this with such finality that it kind of ricochets around the scene here, and you three young bucks. It almost feels like a stab at you guys. Not for nothing, this is partly your fault, and it's partly his fault for allowing you into his home. But that finality stings in his voice. But he dismisses himself and comes back a few minutes later with traveling cloak, tools, and anything else that he can strap to a baggage horse. And
yeah, despite the kindness that he's shown and the hospitality and the gratitude and all that, his words, they fall, they sort of drown in the pit of apathy that is currently Ukin's state, as there is no care in the world that Ukion has for, unfortunately, for the extreme duress and displeasure of our host. That is the furthest thing from his mind. And he just simply nods and does not say anything, as he finds his thoughts are continuously ruminating on what had happened and how he could have stopped this, and what we can do now, and just the final stab, the final rake across the face, as it were, of perhaps deserved, perhaps, but just the utter sorrow of being denied some sort of burial, some sort of ceremony to say goodbye, as in that sort of long moment, as Loom is getting ready and Somanak is doing his affairs. Ukyun will prepare himself slowly, perhaps gather his things slowly, but in no rush at all. He'll begin to pack his bag and then wander off and then lay against a tree for an hour and then come back and eat something a little bit, munch on something, and then continue to refill his water skin and then disappear for another hour, as if he's just deep in grief and mourning. What are you doing, Somanak?
So when Samanak kind of saw the verbal onslaught he was about to take from Ukion when he of course muttered that single sentence that made Ukion stop, which a part of his brain was kind of just like, yeah, just don't even start right now because it's not going to end well for either one of us. But then when Loom spoke up and talked about him leaving, Somanak's actually going to look over at him and he's just going to mutter well, not mutter, but he's actually going to say an apology for, my apologies for bringing this upon your house, upon your land, upon the town. I know there's nothing we could do to help it, but hopefully you have fairer weather where you are going next. And of course, he would see Loom kind of do what he's going to do after that. After that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Loom's only reply before he, in that couple hour span time of Ukion doing, or in his time of grief, Loom simply states, I think you lads should push on. Wherever you're headed, whatever your goal is, whatever this curse is that you're hunting, be quick about it. And do not bring this upon anyone else who's undeserving of it. And
trust me, Loom, no one is deserving of this.
With that, he the Loom that you've come to actually quite love as possibly as a mentor in the very short couple days. That jovialness is gone, almost as if the corruption from you from combined in the four of you now to the three of you has almost touched a chord, a string in him that was not initially there. But he gathers up the rest of his things onto a baggage horse and, armed with his ancestral weapon, a great sword of slender but immense length for his size. He will leave down the forest highway in the direction of the outer world, deeper into the forest, where Ukion knows all too well where his ancestral home is, the capital city. He will be left. He will leave you three almost looking at each other with maybe no small amount of awkwardness, and Huraka, just to break that interminable silence, just I think the road calls. If we're to hunt the sorcerer, we need to make good ground. We have a lieutenant to find of his. At least those
I,
were one of Shihan's last words.
Yes. There is one thing I must do still here. One final thing at least.
What is that?
It may take some time, but
We don't have time, Lukian.
then
We've
go on
already
ahead
lost
and I
one
shall
of our numbers.
then go on ahead and I will catch up.
We're not
I will have
leaving
a
without you. Bring your grief, place it in a box, and bring
I
it with
must
us.
do this. I must.
Salmonak, would you talk sense into him?
how long is it
Salmonak.
going to take you, Ukion?
If I get started soon, not long. A few hours.
You have
It's a
one.
right.
One.
A few hours, Salmonak.
One.
Ukion, we need to go. Not going to be long before the townspeople decide to come up and actually investigate. I don't want to be caught when that Bob shows up.
The three of us could be burnt as witches, as Loom has already left. Do you want to be burned at the stake as well?
I understand, Ukion.
I don't care.
We need
Put
to
your
go.
grief in a box and let's go.
Araka, do you have anything left to do here?
I have everything. My keep is sealed, and no one knows where I live but you three. Well, you two. He just looks at the pit. Well, no. The saint knows. Felsong knows. We need to be on the road. We also need to be at the forest border by sundown before the border guard sees us. There are so many factors that we need here.
How persuasive is Tezek? Does he have a good charisma about him, or is he effective, like in terms of his how he comes across? So I can sort of gauge.
He's very direct.
Yeah.
He's not certain. He's certainly not beating around the bush. It's I wouldn't call him blunt, but you could say his charisma lends to almost an overly
It's fairly personable, or fairly
it's
has a presence about him. Would you say?
He's got
Perhaps
the
more so than
presence
average?
of a country brigand, but
Right.
he's maybe overly practical, as he's lived alone for however many cycles. You guys really don't know how old Horaka is.
It's short and sweet and no punches pulled.
Very much. So
Okay.
you could probably appreciate that about him. He's being deadly honest with you.
So his words
You
sort
want me
of
to
cut
roll
deep.
a persuade?
I guess we can sort of roll. Yeah. Would you like me to roll? What would I roll against that? Just trying to, in case.
I wouldn't say you'd have to roll against it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
You let me know. You let me know. You decide. You let me know.
He's got a 17 on his persuade. We're gonna say
that's good.
that is the score I'm going to assign to his explanation of why we can't stay here.
Yeah.
You react to it however you wish. If
Yeah,
you want
sure,
to roll
yeah.
something in private.
No, definitely. 17 is a good roll. That's definitely. I'll definitely stall for that.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So those words like cut deep, and that still that practical, that pragmatic, that honest, that
It's a little too knifing, his honesty. Put
but
your grief into a box and bring it with us. Now
definitely,
is not the time.
and there's a deep part of inside Ukin, as these words land, there is a deep part in Ukin that agrees. That agrees that now is not the time to be for grief, for mourning. Now is the time for action. And that part of him betrays the part of him that wants to grieve. And so in and his face contorts and twists into a grimacing, angry rage as he glares, as Uki and I glare at Haruka with an intense look of utter spite and anger and rage. And
he looks back at you with his deep viridian colored eyes and just lets that fucking sink in with you. And
I match them with burning golden eyes, and it's sort of like, and eventually, just in my wounded state, and this situation, I'm in no state to win any sort of contest of will here. But
would it appease your sensibilities if you visited the field again and blessed it? Would that be enough?
Enough. I will not speak of my plans here any longer, since we do not have time enough. You are right, I say angrily, kind of shouting out. Time is not with us. We must act now. I will collect my things and be ready in an hour. I will see you two soon. And with as if tearing away a wound, I abandon my plans to consecrate the ground upon which Shihan had laid, to bless it finally, to at least give this place some sort of respite away from the tragedy and the corruption, or the ill energy that has befouled and befallen this place now. But I abandoned that intense desire, as again the words of Haruka do ring true, and the words of Somanak do ring reasonable. They do make more sense, and I get to work.
Within that tiny hour, Haraka dismisses himself from your scene, and he's actually able to steal 3 horses from a nearby farmstead.
Yeah, so we had the horses that we actually had already pre-purchased, or had intended to take with us, along with a page that would escort us to the next town.
That was
So there's
before
still that
you
deal.
let the corruption sink into this place and announcing your
Yeah,
presence
yeah.
to the village.
Yeah.
So
Probably a moot point now.
Yeah.
Actually, while Ukian and Haraka are probably going at this verbal battle about halfway between, Samanak will actually excuse himself and will actually steal back into Loom's place and look for supplies to take. Foodstuffs, water skins.
Yeah. Just as a
bedrolls.
note, I brought last night. I brought a huge. I haven't actually managed to get the list, but I will have that for next session. I brought back a huge. Wasn't expecting today's game. It was meant to be next week. But anyway, all good. Yeah. So I've got like a whole, I have supplies enough already.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
You can, if you want to get extras, you can. But like, there's definitely there's like a small packs of it.
At the moment, Samanak does not know that because of the way everything kind of whirlwind.
Yeah, sure.
So Samanak's mind is they need to get on the road. He's going to go get supplies because they can't go into town. So his thought is Loom left. His place is now abandoned. He's going to go get what he needs.
Yeah. Eventually you'll find outside there's like some packs and supplies that have been gathered from last night, have been brought over.
Yeah,
so you'll
right.
find anything else you need. Yeah.
Narrator, did Loom have any apothecary supplies?
Not many. He has what would basically, it's not a first aid kit, but he has a cupboard that has some oil, like possibly it's like scented oils and bandages, that sort of thing, dried herbs and such. But besides that, nothing much.
Okay.
Enough to probably make a like a tea tonic of some kind, but nothing extravagant.
Okay. Did he leave behind any of his carpentry supplies or woodworking supplies?
He kept the best stuff for him, but anything that is usable, there wouldn't be much there.
Okay.
He probably with like maybe a few extras of like maybe substandard grade stuff.
Okay.
Um,
I'll probably pick those up just because we use them as trade goods, if nothing else.
there's plenty of
In the shopping list, there's definitely going to be like things like that. Definitely.
okay.
Definitely, yeah.
But you're saying there might be a couple what, narrator?
He's got a lot of either unfinished or maybe a handful of finished like commissions there. There there's actually the leavings of Ukion's bracers and his greaves. That was the most recent project. Um, there's a big, like almost like an ovular great shield in there. There's a like enough for like 3 staves or 3 um, spears, but without their heads.
Yeah, I'm not worried about those. He was looking more for like the actual tool pieces.
The tools,
He's,
yeah, no,
yeah.
you maybe like a couple chisels, but nothing.
Yeah.
That,
All right.
no.
Good deal. Yeah. Other than that, it'll just be your basic necessities: foodstuffs, water skins,
Oh yeah, yeah.
beddings, Kindle, yada 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 yada
Mhm.
yada.
Yeah, we definitely got that.
He's got a lantern there, like primitive looking bronze lantern, but
Yeah.
that's about
He
it.
grabbed that too. Yeah.
But aside from that, you can all split that amongst the 3 of you. Instead of actually using a baggage horse, the 3 of you would have actually mounts at this point. Now, I'm assuming a lot of you know how to ride horses.
I do have some grades.
Okay.
I think 2 grades.
So
Not a lot, but like still enough to get by.
Salmonak has no horsemanship.
Oh, well, you guys have 1 baggage horse then. Well, yeah, no, you're gonna have to walk then. They'll or actually ride on the back of one of the horses with one of your companions, I suppose.
He's pretty light. It's okay.
Okay. Is there anything else before we leave this scene?
Yeah, so I guess when we've gathered everything, and perhaps it's maybe just approaching noon when we've got everything together. We're all packed. Sort of. Is it? What's the weather like today?
Gloomy, overcast. It wants to rain, but it won't. There's kind of a chilly autumn wind there that's a little moist and biting.
Yeah.
If it was raining, it'd be absolutely miserable out, but it hasn't started raining yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so wearing my cloak that I purchased from town yesterday, and I look over at the two companions, Haruka and Salmonak. After a moment, as we're gathered, I will speak up and say, "And so what are our plans? We are going to go to the next town, the hill. The name escapes me for the moment, but I know what. Hawthorne. We're going to go to that witch who can do something about the shadow that is twisting us, twisting you, Summonak. I don't want the same fate that has befallen Arwan to befall you as well. I think that should be our next destination.
So I'm gonna look over at Haraka. I think that's sound reasoning.
Shihan spoke of an oracle that lived in Hawthorne that could
Yes.
possibly connect the gem that we no longer have with Ndukaga. But there was also talk of goblins that Shihan may or may not have had dealings with that could be associated with the lieutenant of the sorcerer. So Hawthorne it is to chase down any leads.
The goblins are interesting, but I don't know if we're in any state to be tangling with their caves and tribes and hunting war bands. I fear we will not survive an encounter like we had in the grove earlier yesterday.
We don't have a choice.
Well, we do.
It is autumn forever and the sorcerer conquers the world, or we end the sorcerer and the stagnation ends. Make up your mind.
I kind of look at him annoyed. That was not my meaning.
Again,
my meaning
an
is
overly
this.
direct forest assassin.
My meaning is this. Somenak. What do you think? You know yourself better than I know you. How is this taint that you carry? Is it a great burden on you? Do you feel yourself slipping? Do you need us to find a cure for you? Or will you be fine without such and be able to continue our investigation of this lieutenant and the goblins?
I feel my patience waning as the hours go by. I want to find him. I want to kill him. Preferably, I want to kill him with that. And when he says that, he will actually point at the sledge as he goes to pick it up and has it up by the haft and the head. I want to put this through his skull, like I put it through that gem. As for if I am finding any other way, well, you see my fingers and you see my tears. But at least at the moment, I do not feel any ill other than that.
So what is the course of action that you would desire? Do we find you a healer, or do we continue on and find these goblins or this lieutenant?
Well, make our way to Hawthorne, and we'll see what comes up. If we find a healer first, good. If we find some goblins to take care of, good. We need to do something to move forward. And I would prefer to get out of here, and he'll actually look over down at the town. We need to get out of here before they start rousing.
Very well. To Hawthorne, then. Can we ride? I am no skilled, but I can do it. It'll be quicker that way than walking by our beasts.
I can lead the way, Haraka says. I know a well-worn deer path through the woods. It should take us out of the eyes of any villages or the forest guard.
Very well.
And with that, we will have a change of scene. It is 3.5 chains, picking your way over deer paths and fording a few streams, one of which is much deeper than the rest. Had you taken the forest road, the forest highway, the journey would be much quicker. But as you are meaning to keep out of sight, it takes nearly twice as long. The stage curtains open on the highway beyond the forest reaches, and you are near facing one of the outer gates of Hawthorne, a village of mixed inhabitants. There are mortals, there are fae, and there's mixed half fae in there. Maybe it's a few ogres that live here as well. It is one of the few mortal villages that actually has a palisade and gatehouses. But you stand before an open gate to Nemersian sentries clad in copper corselets and bronze broadswords hanging from their hips, with daggers thrust into their girdles. In the light, almost like misting rain here, 3.5 chains prior, these guards do not accost you. The gate is open and the sun is up. It is just after noonday sun, and you hear cries from the inner portions of this village of "Burn the witch!" as you enter.
Burn the witch.
What's going on here? I want to just get an idea. Does it look like, what's the predominant sort of species in this
Mostly
place?
advanced, developed Nemersians.
Okay, so it's more
less
of a human.
tribal and more. These guys have textiles and
Right,
metallurgy.
Yeah. So they're pretty advanced.
Which is, that's some good stuff right there.
Yeah.
we take that for granted here these days.
Yeah, absolutely. How big is Hawthorne? The town is a large settlement compared to others?
It's about 600 people.
Okay.
It is a large village.
Mm.
It has a kind of a moderately sized hill that has what we people outside of game. This would be player knowledge. It would be a keep. It actually has a keep on a hill. Has some kind of fortification. But when I say keep or a small castle, what I actually mean is it's a large. It's a structure made of large, like megalithic stones that were rolled up a hill and then placed together, and then stone and earth has been placed between these megalithic stones. So it's don't think like sprawling edifices that we see from like a medieval era. It's
very rough cut. Very rough and very.
It looks like if Stonehenge was less henge and more walls and fortification.
As if it was a building. Yeah, it was like almost like a building.
Nevertheless, is it impressive?
Definitely.
It is an easily defendable position, and which makes Hawthorne very unique amongst mortal villages. Is it
like just I know I'm not asking specifically if this town has a temple, but would a town, just so I understand, so I get gist of it, would this town, with this size settlement, this size village, would be large enough to have some sort of small temple? So not even a shrine, but like an actual temple to some divinity?
This
Or is
would
it
be
still too
large
small?
enough. Well, shit. I wish Shihan weren't dead because he would know absolutely.
Right,
Um,
right.
are you asking player or character knowledge?
Just for like, because my character sort of knows what the general would be expected in settlements of various sizes just from living in the world. So I guess
Okay.
what would be the general gist, like, of this, population of 1,000 people? Would that lead to a temple? And if you don't know, to a, I'm just trying to
make me
it's not important.
a. We'll actually see here. Make me a society test.
Sure. Oh no, that's a 1 and a. That's a double 1.
Oh yeah, no, you don't know jack shit. Are your eyes even open, Ukion? What are you? This no, come on.
Absolutely not. All
Yeah,
I see,
these
is
are
R1.
alien people who somehow have masonry, textiles, and metallurgy.
Yes, yes.
These damn
Yeah,
savages
absolutely.
have something.
Yeah.
Impressive it is nevertheless. But more cries from the inner sea. Burn the witch! Damn him! As a great bronze bell begins ringing, just boom, boom, almost chiming off, almost like mournfully, not like a town alarm call, but funerary.
I move I kind of gesture I kind of lead my horse slightly closer towards Salmonak as we're sort of riding into town, or just dismounting and walking into town, whichever is easier. I lean over and make mention over to Salmonak. Perhaps we should be careful. If people in this town were to see your affliction, they may mistake you for the same thing that is happening over there.
I assume in Salmonak's robes or whatnot, or his priestly garments, he probably has a hood, or at least
I
on the
would hope
cloak
so.
he would have. Okay,
I would
he do the whole hood over, watches, and he also do the whole putting his hands in his sleeves type of thing. At least the best he could.
like an itinerant priest.
I nod at that, and I say, I will speak on your behalf should the need arise.
Well, I do follow the silent monolith. I'm doing the silent part today.
I crack just the tiniest bit of a smile at that. That is actually really funny. But just even though that so much time has passed since Arwan died, it has been a very long, grueling journey, and he has not been of high spirits ever, but maybe just now he's ever so slightly approaching normal, or something close to that. But he's still, that's the first smile you've seen him since the event. It just gives a smile, which then disappears very quickly as we enter into the town, and we go investigate to see what, from afar, I would assume, maybe even using the height of the horses, to be able to see over the crowds and have a view of what is going on.
Haraka. Now I'm assuming that Salmonak has probably been riding the same steed as Haraka this whole time.
Well, out of curiosity, because it was 3 chained and they were being relatively
not long enough. No.
Okay, never mind. Yes, he'd be riding whatever horse, probably on Haraka's. Yes.
Haraka will actually go, like he'll reach up and actually unfold, like he's got a couple like coats on. He actually takes an effigy of Warthios on a leather thong, brings it to his lips, and like puts it underneath his tunic there. But he'll fall in behind Ukion, allowing him to lead with the baggage steed, with the rest of your belongings behind, trailing on a leash there. You enter the main thoroughfare here. You pass by 3 temples. a temple to the
Mm.
Silent Monolith, which is more or less uh, a cleared out portion of lawn or yard there that has two uh, great stone archways erected there, surrounding a center stone with a hole bore through the top of it, creating a singing stone. Um, Classically, of the Silent Monolith, that's a temple, not a shrine. Another temple within a flagstone uh, built up earthen. It looks like a large home, but it is decorated in the fashion of the god of fear, Kendrick. There, and another temple doesn't seem to have any religious affiliation. It seems more or less a temple of all gods, the omni deity, just simply a holy place of worship, possibly the spirits, possibly the ancestors. It has no color or effigy therein. But along, you find yourself in uh, the main square of Hawthorne, just beneath the keep. A large crowd of mixed race individuals crowded a near a great well. They do must function as a well and a fountain. Uh, a piling of kindling with a figure tied to a stake, garbed in a burial shroud. It is a young male Arborian with auburn colored hair. And the crowd jeers and snarls and hurls insults at him. And as the flames lick a tad a bit higher, he just mutters sardonically, just beneath the roar of the flames, with a grim smirk that lets on more than it should, possibly to the right individuals. But this is the scene that unfolds for you. The
I
floor
look
is yours,
disgusted.
gentlemen.
I look disgusted as I visibly am disgusted by this. Not expecting this. I think it's the first time I went to a witch burning in a human city. I don't visit these human cities, these human settlements, often. And why would they bring such a curse upon their own homes to burn, execute people in their own midst and homes here? And these savages know nothing.
Haraka just speaks up and says, many mortals are superstitious of sorcery, as well as many of us Fae. He just kind of like
Evidently, they're not.
sneers.
Evidently, they're not superstitious enough if they are to bring the taint of death in their streets of this place. I have no stomach to watch this. I kind of look around. Are there any Arborians in the crowd, or is it just that's the only Arborian that is there, that is visible?
There are a few,
Okay,
less than 5,
sure, yeah.
but it would seem that they're possibly even more put out by whatever the transgressions here were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I look at that kind of strangely, a bit relieved that these humans are not just burning Fae, as that's their custom now. They just burn Fae now, so that's good. At least there's doesn't seem to be some sort of pogrom against the Fae. Yeah, I just kind of watch, but not wanting to watch. I wonder what he did. I say out loud to Somanak. Or to earn such a such a gruesome death.
Salmonak is very much playing the silent monk mindset up really well, so he's just going to give like a sideways glance and just a very visible shrug of the shoulders. Otherwise, he is actually staring pretty intently at the scene. Half of his mind is actually trying to figure out if there was a way he could help, but the other half of his mind says, no, this has to have been done for a reason. But then he goes back to, most of the time, these mortals do stupid things because stupidity runs rampant, unfortunately. But for the most part, yeah, he's just going to stand and watch and kind of see if anyone else shows any unusual behavior.
Do you know Haruka? What he could have done?
Well, many of the mortals that live close to us, and he just kind of he looks back at Salmonak just over his shoulder, and then makes a point. Fair folk specifically, without saying so, many of them who live near us have similar burial respects. Perhaps that is one of the most endearing things about mortals is they look upon us longer lived peoples and they adopt many of our customs. Perhaps this Arborian was grave robbing. Perhaps he had done something. If he is a witch, then he could possibly have been dabbling in some foul sorcery. Arborians don't.
Wait. Could that be the oracle that we were searching for?
I don't believe so.
No.
Shihan said the oracle was a woman.
And I look back at as the flames are rising. Yes, I believe that looks like a man, I think.
No, that is a male Arborian. It's pretty plain to see.
Yes.
But there's a cry that emanates just above the jeering, and the Arborian at the stake says, "I curse you all to leave this place as I do now." As the flames lick higher, and he just starts laughing, which is not the reaction that a man bird at the stake should be having. And just the flames lick higher and almost engulf him in a way, almost a little too quickly and almost too invitingly of the flames. And as you guys,
I wince at that, and as this is going on, I just want to jump in and just say, I say to Haruka and Salmonak, we must leave. We must leave.
I don't want to be the bearer of any curses. And Haruka,
I have enough of such things.
He wheels the horse in a direction, and
Salmonak will make a point of looking at that figure, like lift his head up enough that the figure on the stake can actually see his eyes, and he'll actually lock for a second.
I'll give you that moment if you want to have a soliloquy there.
No, it's just more of the it was just the event happening in general. Whether or not this person deserved the fate, it still is a very gruesome fate. And then
more like paying respects to the person before they go out.
And
like,
then
I'm here, I see you.
And then with that proclamation, it's the whole like, all right, now we're going to show some big dick energy, and it's going to be the whole I see you and I'm going to see you go. I don't know who you are. I don't really care to know who you are at the moment, especially with that curse. But I see you, and you are now locked in my brain. And then he'll wheel off with Haraka.
And I think Ukion was the one who probably wheeled his horse first and left. Was that true?
Started making my way. Yeah, turn my back on the scene. Yeah.
With that, Haraka will call forward to you down the way.
Mhm.
Just added detail for the scene here.
Mhm.
Hawthorne has a flagstone paved road.
That's crazy. So I'm looking around at this.
So
I'm
we
looking around
actually
at this
have kind of a
town.
clip clop sound
Yeah.
going on. That's not just packed mud.
Yeah. So I'm looking around at this town, and I see the scarcity of people here. Like they have 3 temples, and they shouldn't have, because I rolled double ones for the civics test. They have 3 temples, and they have like they don't seem to have that many people here. They've obviously been decimated. Perhaps a plague has gone through this place. Perhaps rightfully so. The population of this place is too low for such a large and advanced society. So I with my incorrect knowledge of what civilizations are and should be, I jumped to some sort of bizarre conclusion that this place is cursed, or has been has been decimated. The population is dying out, and I don't feel any sympathy really for them for that, because this as the burning smoke is rising above the village and the people are yelling and screaming, I'm just disgusted by this display of barbarism. I make my way, unless the other guys stop, or anything else happens, I will make my way back towards the gate, where I will await my companions to speak with them.
I don't believe it is an appropriate time to be asking about magicians or other practitioners of the magical arts here.
You're right.
Damn, I believe we've been duped.
Ask
Perhaps we can
where
go on the
goblins are.
Is that
yes.
wise? I think asking anyone here anything.
Tell them we want to go kill some goblins.
We can at least wait until the time when the drinking malls or the drinking halls open, and we can perhaps overhear the drunkards speak. They will no doubt be wagging their tongues lyrically about what has occurred recently.
We repair to the countryside and then return at night.
I think that is best. That was my course of suggestion.
Or, and this is mostly over his shoulder. Well, Somanek, why don't we return to the henge, the singing stone, and you speak to any of the priests there. Perhaps they will listen to you, as opposed to a forest devil like myself. And we already know that Ukion is less inclined to speak to mortals than Shihan ever will be. Bless his ghost into the afterlife wherever he shall be. He raises his hand to the sky.
I grimace at that and just look downward. I speak up loud. I do not know their tongue well at all. I would be willing to speak with them if we shared one.
I barely speak the Nemersian tongue, and Shihan was our linguist. Damn him and his ghost, wherever he may be. He raises his other hand to the sky.
Enough.
The gods keep and preserve him.
Enough. Please.
Come now.
Do not speak his name right now.
Shihan would be laughing with me. We should have mirth on our road.
I'll go talk to them.
All right, let's. You're riding with Haraka there. He just wheels back around. Ukion, come along. We have a date with some priests.
I follow. I just kind of lag behind, but I follow. My hands gripping the reins of the horse like tightly. Maybe the horse is slightly uncomfortable by my tense anger that is boiling, but I try to compose myself and continue on.
Yeah, the horse himself is quite quite anxious as you are
I'm
a
not very
royally.
skilled as a horseman either. I
No,
just have 2 grades, so I can just barely get by. But I'm not picking up on a lot of the cues, and it's a bit awkward. But yeah,
you're mostly letting the horse go where he's bidden,
yeah,
and he's actually
pretty much.
following the other two horses. So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
it's not a very healthy pairing, horse and rider at this point. So
definitely not.
we return to the outdoor shrine, excuse me, the temple to the silent monolith within the palisade of Hawthorne, and I guess Salmonek will dismount and pay his respects.
Yeah, Sonic will dismount best he can. He will actually still continue doing his best to keep his hand and uh, most of his face from view of the common folk, so to speak, um, until he's actually within like the circle of the stone itself. Uh, of course, before he even goes to talk to anyone, he is going to go up to the stone and give a prayer to the silent monolith, thanking
This
him.
temple here, you sense, is very gifted, very much so.
Right. Which is good. We could use some gifts right about now. But he is going to go up and give thanks for a safe journey, decent weather, good earth underneath his shoes.
I'm gonna let you lead this scene here, Salmac, and as these are your people.
Right. Yeah, he will actually just be in prayer for a couple of minutes, in case anyone does want to approach him during that. If no one does, which I'm kind of assuming they're not, because he still does have his priestly robes and station, so I guess they assumed he's someone of at least some name and renown, considering what he's at. So they probably leave him to his rights for the few moments. Once he is done with that, though, he will take a actual look around, and if he does not see one of the higher priests of the temple, he will look for one of the acolytes and get their attention.
It's almost immediate that you can have an attendant here. There are no Fey priests here. They're all very young Nemersians, boys and girls, maybe a few lovely like country shrine maidens who are wearing the habit, the dark brown habit of their station. But there are 3 proper ordained priests of varying age. Maybe the youngest is probably like 20, and the oldest is some old, ancient-looking mummy, shriveled up thing of a man who doesn't have any teeth left in his head, but nevertheless is quite pleasant to see you. And he invites you to come sit with him privately on a stone bench. And he introduces himself as the priest Nuel. Let me actually put that in chat for you. Nuel. There we go.
Nuel. All right.
He's like 68 cycles old. This guy's like, dude, you are an arthritis elemental. Die already, please. What hurts?
Yes. Right. Yeah. You look at him wrong and a bone breaks.
I know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he's very animated as he speaks. He's very, very pleased to see a Fae visit his temple.
Yeah. Which I'm sure it goes without saying that Salmonak's robes are that deep brown, but he also, like, all of his edges are blue and white for being of the winter sect as well.
He is of the spring sect, but it's late spring, early into summer. Um, you guys now know that Haraka is actually a summer warden, as much of his spells actually involve fire or heat in some form or fashion. Um, Spring is associated with the color peach or pink. However, New Wales robes are like a dark pink, red, kind of like a hot pink, fiery hot pink, as the season would heat up to be the blaze that is summer. Uh,
Of course, the 68-year-old be wearing hot pink because he don't give no fucks. I mean, let's be
you
honest
don't
here.
care? Fucking roast your ass. Come on now. You guys
You're wearing
don't.
hot pink. I don't care.
Fuck
Fuck
yeah.
you. All right. No. Anyway.
He's manly as
Um.
shit, is what he is.
Right. No. We will sit. We'll give greetings to each other. Um. Salmonak actually would nod to each attendant, acolyte, and priest that he walked by on his way there, of course, because respect and patience and everything else. No, when him and Noel go to sit, he'll let Noel take his time because he imagines probably take a while for this man to sit down.
With the various snap, crackle, pop. God damn, old man.
Right? Like, sit already. Fuck. No. He's Salmonak's just going to give it a second as he kind of collects himself because his brain's kind of been to hell and back. He's also kind of taken in the serenity of being in a silent monolith temple once again. So he kind of gets lost in that. And Newell will actually say he'll kind of just see Salmonak just get lost in the presence of his deity. And then he'll look at him. How fare you as of late?
I bide fine. The there are things that have been changing. I do not know how old that I am. I believe that I am very old. I should have died some 90 cycles before. I'm very old. But autumn has not ended. Strange. I was a young man when the Atlanteans came, and some fae have moved through our village in and out, and I see them live long and youthful, healthy, vigorous lives. But I'm caught. I am caught up with this. I don't know. But the temple as well. We are greatly blessed by the father of farms. The singing stone sings to us in our dreams and makes our fields healthy. Our harvests has always been bountiful. But the spirits are restless. They cry out. I I wish I was young again so I could join whatever search there is to find this, whatever has been the disturbance. I am well. The acolytes are well. They are aging in they're in their skill. They're becoming stronger with their studies. 17 of our priests have been ordained and then gone onto the road. Many of them have become Green Knights and left to join in the fighting against the invaders. But I am well.
As an aside narrator.
Okay.
As an aside narrator. When I was with the war parties and the the movement, did I meet any of the priest from Hawthorne?
Probably in passing.
Okay.
They kind of just mixed. They're green warriors and shrine warriors of the silent monoliths are they look like militant farmers who are dressed very well, but nevertheless are they have an almost like Buddhist calm about them, like like military Buddhist militant Buddhist priests. How you can how you can describe a green warrior of the silent monolith. They're distinct. You probably saw them, but spoke to them much. Probably not much because there's a lot of moving around and mixing.
They're very much the epitome of that quote. Better be a warrior in a farm than a farmer in the war.
Oh yeah, but this warrior farmer will take you apart, use you as fertilizer for his field.
Right? No. Okay. So yeah, when Newell talks about some of them getting there, Salmonak would just say, "Oh," and he'll actually like think for a second, like furrow his brow. Actually, I think I saw a couple of them in passing when I was with the war effort.
Strong young men and women doing the silent monolith, and Hawthorne proud with their immense fighting spirit.
Yes, yes, they were. We were proud of every one of them. The temple looks good. As soon as I walked in, I felt the blessing of the singing stone itself. So
Would you
that is
like to
good.
see the flower garden?
Maybe in a moment.
Turns around and he points a bony and shit finger back there.
Maybe in a moment. He'll actually look back out in the direction of where the stake was.
Oh, okay.
No, where the stake was. And do I even want to ask what that was all about? As we had just showed up when that was in the mist.
He was burnt at the stake for raiding some burial mounds to just beyond the outer road in the direction of the misty wood. There's some cairns out there that he was accused of despoiling, but and he's also been accused of necromancy. He actually lowers his voice to that.
Salmonak will actually do like what would be considered like the equivalent to like giving yourself the cross when that's said.
We don't say the N word in Arklanar. No, we
don't
say
no. Deities help us. And Salmonak could just he'll kind of just get like this like not quite disgusted look on his face, but just the whole, how dare someone do that? And he's going to say this next line, but not like truly be. I can't think of it. Like he's going to say it, but it's not going to be sincere behind it. As he just says, good riddance to that. Or thank the deities he is gone.
The old
really
man sees through that facade. He's like, what, why did you say these things?
Because sometimes darkness needs to go.
It is, but we also must understand that the darkness is part of the world, and the silent monolith himself has darkness about him. The shadowed veil is the underside of the stone that the sun does not see. Darkness is acceptable but should be moderated. Now
Yeah,
he's gone into like the
Yeah.
religious debate of
right. Which yeah, Salmonek would just like kind of like let him go there for a moment, and like yes, but I believe what that man was burned for was not moderated anymore.
we hope that the spirits keep him and sing him to his rest. May beautiful and poetic silence keep him. And he does what would be the equivalent to crossing himself in the direction of the singing stone there, which is probably less than 10 feet away from you guys if you're kind of
Right.
in that inner sanctum area. With that, we back out at the horses, Ukion and Huraka. The wind will actually pick up as the mist starts to become a little bit heavier. That biting cold actually will start to be unbearable at this point. And Huraka just snorts derisively at the rain and kind of shoots Ukion kind of a, oh, damn, great look, and hood up, pulls his cloak about him. And the that chilling autumn wind with the rain, the moisture on the singing stone, coupled with the rain blowing across the whole, makes it's almost like the acoustics of this area actually sing. It hums at a beautiful pitch. Then when the wind picks up, it goes higher. When the wind goes down, so it's almost like the stone is itself is kind of like vocalizing with you, but kind of lends a reverent agricultural beauty you feel there is no small amount of sorcery around this singing stone, and you actually feel almost like that ward, that energy wash over the two of you.
For a moment, I'm just watching, and I don't even react straight away when the wind picks up and maybe when the rain starts. I don't pull my hood over my head. I'm just watching and taking in the grandeur of this place. It looks primitive, sure, but there is a rough-hewn beauty to it, and it reminds me of my temple. And I see the icons and the glyphs that have been carved into the stone here, and the great images that have been carved and painted here, and admiring the work here, the stone craftsmanship here, and the sort of eerie yet calming song of the temple, not sung by choirs or chanters, but by this temple, by the stones of the temple itself, as that sort of washes through. And for a moment, when Haruka sort of like curses and then puts the hood over his head, he kind of glances at Ukin, then kind of quickly wipes his eyes, perhaps some tears, as his mind was drifting back towards that night. Now in a stage of grief, he's now recovering through the sadness. I'm fine. It is cold. And I kind of sniff, like the snow, the cold.
I like the
As soon as Solmanak is finished here speaking with the elders of the temple,
of course,
perhaps we could
leave
the gates of the city
and peers around a stone archway to see that conversation go. Ah, he's still in with the elder.
Yes.
It's all right.
We should go get some supplies. Our journey has taken longer than we had anticipated. Maybe we'll get some supplies out in maybe we'll go outside of the gates of the city and of the town and go to the farms and see if we can trade for some supplies.
Perhaps they have a market beyond the city wall here.
That would be fortuitous if they have. Hopefully they do. I don't want to be inside the city, not with that.
I like the smell of the rain here. It's different than the woodland. I like it.
It's better
Tilled
than the smoke.
earth.
Yes.
It smells like civilization, but not the filthy kind.
Have you been to larger settlements than this? Are there larger settlements than this?
Oh, you've not been to the Atlantean capital on the sea. It's how Shebkana smells like garbage and stone and horses and no, it's awful. There's too much stink of fish in the sea. The sea smells delightful, but the people, they're blue, Ukion. They're blue-skinned. And blue-black haired, there's no beards on them. They're strange alien people that they wear the scales of fish, have fish in their pennons, and they ride horses, and they have floating cities. This
Floating
conversation,
cities?
this conversation.
I've not heard of that.
Die off as we'll go back to the scene from Inner the Temple. Samanak might hear Haraka's voice pick up, which that kind of sounds like nondescript bitching, but it's very poetic about it. There's an edge in his tone he's not angry. That's just how he is and how he explains things. He's crushed glass is what he is.
When the rain starts to set in, because this whole temple is still outside, so we're getting rained on because we're right near the stone.
There is no roof.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Very few temples of the Silent Monolith have an actual roof. It's normally like 3 hinges and a standing stone. If there's a roof, that means they're wealthy.
Right, yeah.
This is no.
Yeah. So as the rain starts coming in, Samanak will look back to the stone, especially as it starts to sing, and just kind of sit there in reverence. And then he'll probably hear Haraka with his indecipherable bitching over there for a moment, and he'll actually crack a small smile. And he'll look back at New Whale, and I think one of my compatriots isn't too fond of the rain here. Of course, having no idea what Haraka is actually bitching about. But then he'll look back at New Whale after that again, and we came here for twofold reason. And I want to ask you these reasons.
What are these? Anything I can do to assist?
It's just after the event that happened today, I'm kind of hesitant to even bring one of them up.
You are amongst friends. This is a holy place.
I know part of the reason for the stagnation we are currently involved in. Why Autumn, and he'll kind of gesture to the environment itself, why it's not moving forward.
If you could knit your eyebrows, but his eyes kind of go wide, it's kind of like surprise and suspicion is on his face. Like, but
right.
Why are these things?
We spoke of darkness in moderation. What is happening is not moderation.
No.
Something is upsetting the balance, and I am trying to fix it.
Are you and your companions together on such a thing?
Yes.
Well,
And we've recently lost one of our companions in the fight to find this abomination.
may sweet silence sing him and keep him in his rest and revelry. Again,
As they,
he crosses himself.
yeah, I was gonna say him and Somnak both will cross themselves. Yes.
Almost simultaneously. It's uncanny. It's
Yep.
like,
We came to Hawthorne searching for an oracle on the outskirts. Do you know of such a woman?
are you looking for Tulara? She's the half nymph oracle that lives in the woods outside the village.
That might be her then, because our compatriot who passed knew of her, and that's why we were coming this way.
Yeah. No, she is a magician, but she prefers to live alone. She has he the cold is getting to him, so he coughs a bit. He she she would not be pleased with me telling you this, but you should know, and it's the reason why she has the void sickness. But her sight is skilled. That is why she does not live amongst other people.
As he says, the void sickness, Samanak's are looking, and what do you think of such a thing? Keep in mind, this whole time, his hands have still been in his sleeves. His hood has still been drawn up.
It's well, he can tell you're a fair folk because your horns peek out from the brim. So, yeah, no, that's it's
It's more Samanak is still hiding the inky black.
how sick he is. Yeah. The darkness has a way of creeping into all hearts. And we should attempt to alleviate the harms that it can cause to ourselves and attempt to cure it in others around us. Silent Monolith commands us to do so where it is necessary. We who fight for the natural realm and protect it, and you see some of the militant like Buddhist priest in this guy, and this guy is way too damn old, but now you kind of like have this like this is an old colonel, and this guy's holding court right now. And he
Where was this guy in the war I was just at? I could have used him on the front lines, goddammit.
he's too old.
I don't care.
way
I still
too
would have brought him. I still would have brought him. He would have been fine. He would have been fine.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyway, go back to your
He
monologue.
is this we must protect and cure the sickness in others. And if it finds our hearts, some carry themselves into exile, banish themselves by their own accord, or they themselves become the darkness itself, and they fade away, become shadows. Are any of your numbers sick in this fashion?
Samanak won't say an affirmation, but he will take one hand out.
Hide that hand. He kind of just looks around, making sure none of the other acolytes have seen.
Samanak will hurry up and put it back in his sleeve, of course, yes.
Whom else?
Just me. The other one who had the sickness is the one who fell.
I will burn
By
some
the
incense and chant the sutras for his rest.
Thank you.
But I do not think that you should go and see Talara in your condition. Send one of your companions to go speak with her. If you have time on your road, and he kind of gives you that old man look. I know you don't, but you do. You should.
Right.
You don't.
Make
but you
time.
should make time. I can cleanse you as I can here. It should be in private, and it would require you to fast for 10 days.
Salmonak, he'll look at Newell and he'll look back at where.
Can I get a self-control check from you?
From me?
Yes, from you.
All right, give me a second here. 26.
So when he says you must fast for 10 days, there's almost a knot in your throat, as almost like his tone like stabbed you in a way where almost like the cleansing already started. Like he imposed his will upon you, almost
Right.
like searchingly. But you're able to like that knot in your throat, which would have ended in those inky black tears. You're able to force that back down and like stay with him in the moment. And it would be in private. I would not do it here. There is a stream nearby that we could use and cleanse you there. Your companions can go speak with Talara in that time. But don't worry about them. Her void sickness is not contagious. Oracles cannot spread corruption. They take it in. From what I understand, an oracle casts their consciousness into the void to work their art and to foretell the future. And when one looks into the void for too long, they leave fragments of their mind behind. Imagine the mind is like a quilt, sewn with many patches, and one casts the cloak into the sea or a river. But every time pulls their quilt out of the river, a patch is left behind. It is the same here.
Very well. I will speak to my companions about going to see her while I stay here. Like, very matter of fact, like, all right, this is going to happen.
I've accepted it. We're doing this. The finality is just on point tonight.
Yep. These are happening. Deal
Noelle
with it.
does not give you the knife hand, but the knife hand is implied. I will be here tending the soil. Come back to me when you're able. We're not going anywhere.
May the earth sustain you and the stone stand by.
To you as well. Keep the song with you.
And at that, Salmonak will actually get up. They'll give whatever parting motions they do, bows, genuflex, etc.
Nuel will actually like he will offer to actually embrace you.
Okay, yeah. Like Salmac was like hesitant on that for a moment. Could also means exposing his hands again, and he'll give like a quick look around, and then he will embrace New Whale.
He will well, basically he'll touch his forehead to yours, which is probably was most culturally customary amongst him anyway. And he turns away, orders one of his younger priests to fetch something from his hut nearby, and goes about his archpriest duties.
Salmac will turn, of course, hand hidden again, and go back to Ukian and Haraka, who are sitting there soaked to the bone, probably, as
Standing by the stone.
downpouring. Yeah.
Trying to get as much cover from the rain by being up against the stone.
Haraka is still in the saddle. He trembles slightly with the cold, as well as the couple horses kind of tremble nervously. He reaches down and kind of like pats his steed on the shoulder, and kind of mutters something really soothingly in the horse's ear, and he says, "What does the elder here have to say?" He seemed pleasant enough.
He was pleasant enough. It was actually very nice.
Wonderful.
Found out that the poor soul burned at the stake was due to grave robbing, as well as they assumed he was practicing that dreaded of all dark magics. He would not actually say the magic out loud, of course.
My eyes perk up at that. Interesting indeed. Okay.
And I did get a lead on our oracle.
Oh, good.
Her name is Talara. She is
You're the
out
only
in the
one who
woods.
speaks the local tongue here.
Yeah.
So, say us? Where's our next move?
Well, here's where we get kind of sticky. She has the sickness, but being an oracle, she cannot spread it.
The sickness. You speak of the same malady that is afflicting you?
It is a unfortunate side effect of being an oracle. Being an oracle itself. That is also why she is on the outskirts. Now,
that means that she cannot help you.
I'm getting to that. Patience, Ukian.
She's keeping her illness from others. That's noble of her.
The elder here can actually help me.
Well, what way?
Well, he thinks I should not go see her due to me having the sickness as well.
All right, pause for the scene here. I'm guessing we've all defaulted to Feywise, so our conversation is encrypted.
Sorry. Yes, sorry.
Okay, there are no.
I also kind of figured we were probably whispering anyway, so
okay.
It was kind of a double.
and default to Feywise if at all possible. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry. Probably should have mentioned that, but yes.
For the scene's purposes, we're conspiratorially in the rain.
Yes. He does not think I should go see her. It should be you two.
I can barely have a conversation with her, and we already know that Ukian can't speak the language.
Oh, maybe she has different ways. She is also, what did he say? She is a half nymph, I believe.
Oh,
half nymph.
So maybe she has other languages she speaks other than the common one here.
Perhaps she knows how to speak Feywise. Perhaps.
I would truly hope so.
But he thinks you two should go. He can help me here while you two go speak to her.
What is the nature of this help? The inherently untrusting brigand of the party is a little bit overprotective.
He can cleanse at least some part of the corruption.
Interesting.
That is afflicting you.
That is afflicting me. He says it will take 10 days, and I have to fast that whole time. So Joy for me. But that gives me something to do while you two go talk to Talara.
Those who find themselves in the embrace of the silent monolith, or he shoots a look to Ukion, the shadowed veil, normally, to my understanding, fasting, meditating, mornings of quiet contemplation, and a lot of potted plants is your ritual components. Is this true?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Uh,
But on the other side, what did we really have to lose of me trying?
Nothing but time. But I think this is my vote. Uh, we three can shed 10 days for your illness to be lifted. And that gives us plenty of time to investigate possibly the outlying hills here in Hawthorne. 10 days towards the inner realm on the highway, there's a great stone berm, earthen wall that is the border country between here and the bandit realms, and carved out fiefdoms of warlords. Beyond that is the war-torn reaches you've just left to find me. We have a long road ahead of us, but I think we have time. We don't have all cycle, but we have time enough for this. Ukion, what's your judgment?
Somanak, we need you to be well. I have grown fearful that as we continue our hunt for our quarry, we will engage and be exposed to even more corruption and sickness. We must be strong, otherwise we will fall like before. I believe this is the best course of action. I'm envious of such a time in meditation. I've known it to be very helpful. I believe you will benefit greatly from this. I'm glad and relieved that we found somebody here that can aid you. Do you trust these? Of course, they are your brethren in the faith of the Silent Monolith, but do you trust these Nemercians to care for you?
Yes. And he'll actually say that with, like,
Resolve.
yes. Thank you. That word. I could not think of it. Yeah, complete resolve of yes.
10
He
days.
trusts himself completely in their care.
10
Well,
days
I nod.
of contemplation and rest, then I concur.
Very well. When do you begin your meditations, Somanak?
I did during that conversation, actually.
You already started.
The old man didn't really give me much of a choice.
I see.
I think he gave me the illusion of one to try to make me feel better.
I see. Well, then I suppose this is where we must part ways then. Our plan, I was speaking with Haruka just earlier. We are going to leave the outskirts of the walls of the city and make our way to the farmlands, perhaps find provisions and supplies. I suppose you'll be well cared for here. We will then perhaps also try and find out a little bit more about this Talara and seek her counsel. Perhaps tomorrow.
Today, I think we should find an inn or some kind of gathering place, lodgings.
Yes.
No, narrator.
Hopefully someplace outside the city.
What's that?
Did Newell actually give me a location of Talara, or just gave me a vague direction?
He said in the woods outside the
Okay,
city. So
just a
the
just a
city,
vague
the
one.
town. So
Yeah.
you assume there's a group of trees around here somewhere that an oracle is living in.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't misstep and not give him a direction.
Are we sleeping on the ground or are we sleeping in a shelter tonight?
If we can find some place we can house up, perhaps we can talk to a farmer and sleep in his barn. Again, after what happened in the square today, I do not feel well. I do not feel well staying here in this sitter settlement. I've had enough of curses.
I have an apprehension to sleep in a shed or another barn, given what happened the last time we slept in a shed. But there are fae that live amongst these people. I don't think that there's too much issue here.
We have traveled and slept soundly and, well, not slept soundly, but traveled safely and spent many nights on the road without any incident. I think we are safe from the clutches of him for now.
Do you have to stay here with your people, Zamanek?
I would imagine that's part of it, yes. Because I'm pretty sure I have to be within the circle of the stone to have this take effect.
All right.
As this temple has been gifted by the singing stone itself, or at least feels like it. So I imagine it is a consecrated place.
Oh, I do not doubt that.
Do you have everything you need? Do you have any requests for something we can
bring
find?
You.
No, I'm pretty sure all my needs are going to be taken care of while I'm here. So I believe I will be fine.
Save for the fasting. There won't be much eating for you.
Right.
That is true. At least you'll save some coin.
This is true.
Well, let's find an inn outside of the village, if there is such a thing.
Very well. Salmanak. We shall return in 10 days' time. At least, if not before then. Stay well, my friend.
You as well, Ukion. May the earth sustain you.
Thank you, and blessings of Arathias be upon yourself as well.
So, when we dismiss the two riders of the company, what I would like from Ukion, as the two are riding away, brief soliloquies of the road that has happened up to this point. Take it away, brother.
It's been many days on the road, riding this animal that I have. It still does not tolerate my presence well, but I'm managing somehow. Aran was better at this than I am. It's been so chaotic the last days. I feel a little bit better, more driven, and I feel that fire return to the embers of my heart, but still, there is that deep sorrow that I've been carrying for a long time. That regret, that guilt. It was by my blade that Aran was killed. It was my foolish decision to go along with the plan of taking that gem that accursed crystal, and for foolishly laying myself and my companions into the hands of Endukaga. And then that happened. And I'll never forget it. And worse yet still, I couldn't even try and make it better the little way that I could. That woman, that creature that stalked Arwan, cut me, sliced me. I was trying to take the scarf so I could find Endukaga, so I could know him by his skin, find him somehow, deliver this thing to the Oracle, have some sort of lead. Now we have nothing but a name, nothing at all but hatred and pain. I don't know what to think. I don't know how to feel about this. It's been so long since our one had passed, but I still feel this sorrow. Even though truth be told, I pitied him. He was a young child who had wandered the world, exiled, banished, a criminal by all accounts, by all respects, an outcast of our people, of my people. And yet there was a nobility about him. There was a kindness about him. There was a worldliness and a glory even about him. In truth, I envied him. His bravery, his skill. Even when he had cut down that innocent creature, that nymph by the waters, he still carried that guilt and that weight of that transgression nobly to the end. And perhaps what he said was right. Perhaps what he claimed was correct, that it was some sort of curse. I didn't believe him then, but maybe he was not lying. I have to return one day to the dwelling of Loom to conduct a ritual that I was unable to conduct. Maybe I can find a way. But that is after my quest. That is after when I find this one and I rend him from the earth and I cut him into pieces as I rip him, as I tear at him, as I steal his shadow and place it in a box. That is what I will do to you, Endukaga. And I will take that crown and I will learn what has happened to my father. I have not thought about him for a long time. There is so much going on. Enough of these thoughts. We have to find this Jakara, Talara. We must continue our hunt. As I gaze up, grimacing, that scar from that swipe from the banshee hasn't healed very well. Still red on my face. As we ride off into the countryside.
A pair of riders right off into the mist, and then turn off of the country road to a woodland that, for a few more minutes, is unknown to us. A magician of a strange cult, strange magical practitioner, their destination. We look into the heart and the mind, black as it may be, tainted and scarred. Samanak steps into the stone ring and bathes in the singing of his deity that somehow emanates from each of these stones, perhaps not just the center one, and from beneath the ground. The ground almost seems to reach up to him. The spirits of each blade of grass, each petal of flower, each tilled bit of earth presses up against the planar barrier, almost to reach out to him to aid in his upcoming ritual. We would have a soliloquy of Salmanek in these quiet moments here.
Salmanak, of course, we all know, has been a man of very few words lately. Even and especially now, when his companions have left to go find a place to eat and sleep, Samanek would have turned around in that quiet reverence once again, to kind of bathe in the rain, light, and song of the singing stones. After taking a couple minutes, he would have went and found Nuel again and simply told the archpriest that he was ready to begin. Assuming probably for the night that he would be left to his own devices. Most of that night is going to be spent in simply silent reverence and prayer at the stones until he is probably too chilled to actually feel anything anymore. At that time, he would finally retire to warm up and dry off. In his brain, in his mind, in his heart right now, it's really just he's thinking of getting things fixed, getting things changed, moving on with his life, hopefully being cured of this as much as he can, and just hopefully meeting back with his friends here in a couple of days.
You're muted.
There we go, thank you. The ritual will commence forthwith. At dusk that day, the rain finally lets off. And then off and on for the next 10 days. Ukion and Haraka initially do not find the Oracle's lair in the woodland, and for 4 of those days are somewhat stymied. Your frustration lingers on, but nevertheless, checking back in on your companion, Samanak spends off and on days being cleansed in that frigid river, his hands and feet bathing amongst the sutras, fasting, eating very little, fasting. He is nevertheless miserable and exhausted as he has sutras and chants poured over him, spoken and sung over him. And at the end of this trial, he is cleansed of 8 of his sickness. He has, for all intensive purposes, died and is now reborn. This is a new life. On the morning of the 10th day, he finds himself dunked almost in a baptismal fashion. And on the final dunk, almost drowned, almost. But nevertheless, exhausted and fagged out from the trial of his faith as well as the ordeal. Dunked not unlike a witch. Possibly that thought lingers in his mind for a few moments, but he's done nothing wrong. So we hope that's not the case. It's not the case, of course. But his knees wobbly. It was like a newborn deer, moving very painfully slow, taking in each fiber of each thing, each sensation, down to its minuteness. The sensation of this new life, in this rebirth, everything dwarfs his previous life into insignificance. When you finally enter those standing stones and you can look upon the singing stone again, which is singing even more harmoniously, it seems to sing in tune with the autumn birds, sing in tune with the flowers. You can hear the stones growing. You can hear the pulse, the life force of all of these things. A form of enlightenment falls upon Salmonak in these ways. The darkness is very far away. Very, very far away. And with that, we will rejoin our companions out on the companion way before the temple. And the stage curtains will close on this session. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We will be back next week. Good night, everyone.
Nice. Good night.